welcome back to the Five on the Floor pregame show. Before floor, I think is what we've been calling it. Not really sure. I am not your usual host, Jonathan Ramakan. Gad Cartagena, joined today by the man, the myth, the legend, the most consistent thing in Miami media, Mateo Mayorga. How we doing, Mateo?
Fabulous, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Listen, if we are playing the Denver Nuggets, which we are, my expectations are not high. But I am still excited to get to watch some Miami Heat basketball, and we got the good people with a lot of comments in the crowd today. So
Nice.
that is impressive to say the least. Hope all of you are having a good and happy holidays and are ready for the new year. Hopefully we get 2 Heat wins before we ring in the new year. But Mateo, I want to talk, before we get to the Denver Nuggets, I want to talk about the last game because I was there. Against the Lakers, saw a lot of things that I don't know if I loved, but the fact that Jimmy and Bam were really cohesive together made me really excited. So what did you see from that game against the Lakers? And do you feel like the Heat are kind of building something, maybe not into being a contender, because we've kind of beat that horse a little bit to the point where we know what they are more or less as constructed, but do you think they're taking strides forward?
Well, given all what we've seen through the season, Gad, the most I can take away from it is that they're just getting back on track. They're not very good at home. It's nice that they improved a little bit in that aspect, but the Los Angeles Lakers are not a very good team offensively. Even with AD out, they haven't opened up much of the lane for scoring opportunities, and that's one of the big reasons why Russell Westbrook has been relegated to a bench role, and he's been thriving in it, to his credit. But it's cool to see the Heat win in that aspect. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo were very cohesive, like you said a moment ago, and I hope that carries over into this game, and it's going to be very important that it does for the Miami to have a chance.
No, absolutely. And I like that you said that they are building something, because I feel like the offense between Hero, Butler, and Bam has really, I think it's gotten better as the year has progressed. And sometimes that fluctuates because we've kind of relegated Hero at times to that 3-point specialist role where he's bombing away from 3 in some games. In some games, you're going to drop 40. And other games, you're going to go 0 of 8 from 3 or 1 of 8 from 3, and it's not going to look as pretty. But I think him kind of tweaking that role a little bit has really helped the Jimmy and Bam duo, because now you have someone who he can get into the action, he can reset the action and get into another one without having to swing the ball around and kind of eat like 10 seconds off of the shot clock. But before we get to the next game, I also do want to ask you, Gabe Vincent got his first start of the season. It's been a rocky up and down season for him, dealing with injury and a bunch of other things. But the last couple games, he's been a steadying presence for the Heat. What have you seen from him, and what would you like to see from him moving forward?
Someone who's just getting reps under him. It's hard to just get your legs under you when you've missed so much time, but he has really good instincts on the defensive end. You want to see him hit the easy shots from the perimeter, finish a little better when he goes inside, or be a little more aggressive doing that when he's cutting off ball. But he is someone who the Heat really need going forward, because the point guard position is a little thin with aging 36-year-old Kyle Lowry, who's your starter. But Gabe Vincent is very important to this team. So just getting him out on the floor is a very good thing, because this whole year you've got guys like Jimmy, who he missed as of yesterday morning, I think like 38% of the season. Caleb has been in and out of the lineup recently. I know he's questionable for tonight. Kyle was one of our most consistent pieces. I know he's missed now 4 games, but Gabe Vincent is very important to this squad. So good to see.
No, 100% agreed. And let's get to the fun stuff. Okay. The Miami Heat are about to play basketball at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's 7 p.m. your time, Mateo. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Okay, 7 p.m. Mountain time. So there's Jose Matos. Shout out Jose Matos, always being consistent in the comments. There's some unfinished business here with the Nuggets, right? Last year, around a similar time frame, before the change of the new year, the Heat went to Denver, and flat out they were getting spanked. I honestly don't think they play very well in Denver. It's a tough environment for them to play in, maybe because of altitude, maybe because they quite literally cannot guard Jokic. Granted, no one can. I think he's arguably the best offensive player in the league. But there's maybe the narrative of some bad blood being there. Now, Markieff Morris is no longer with the team, but obviously that moment where you kind of got the players in the locker room and Andy standing in front of them. That kind of iconic moment that was captured in the locker room after that game against Denver, where Jokic obviously decked Markieff Morris. That kind of became like the identity of the team almost, where they kind of, maybe not some bad boys, but they weren't going to take anything from anyone, and they were always going to fight as hard as they could. So with all that being said, do you think the players on the Heat side are going to be giving it any little extra tonight based on what happened last year when they were in Denver? Or is it kind of let bygones be bygones? It's been over a year. Let's just play some basketball.
It's tough to say because that was something that really doesn't happen in NBA games. Well, recently you saw Killian Hayes hit Wagner, and after Hamidou Diallo hit him, this type of stuff isn't really natural for today's age of the NBA. What Nikola Jokic did, elbowing Markieff Morris in the back after Morris cheap shot of him below the rib last game. But, the Heat are a very smart team. I know they don't have the personnel of some of the more talented squads, but they play the right way and they have the options to make this game interesting tonight. For example, what the Denver Nuggets like to do defending the pick and roll is if they don't blitz you up top to create a trap on the wing, they're going to drop in coverage. And if you have a proficient mid-range shooter like Tyler Hero and someone who can, like Kyle Lowry and Max Strus, you will eat them alive. They're not very good at guarding in transition because they lose track of the off-ball players, giving up some quick points on the wings or in the corner. But this is also a squad that gives up double-digit leads. Sometimes they get comfortable. For example, a couple of nights ago against the Sacramento Kings, they gave up a 19-point advantage. I know on the 16th of this month against the Los Angeles Lakers, they also gave up a double-digit lead. And against another very good team, the New Orleans Pelicans down in NOLA, they gave up another 14-point lead and lost. They lost those 3 games I just mentioned. But for all their warts on the defensive end, they are prolific on the other end. And if Miami doesn't show up, at least on the offensive end, they're going to get cooked. But they got enough to make things interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you highlighted the strength of their offense because their defense does have its lapses most definitely, and they are one of those teams that is susceptible to giving up those types of leads because of those lapses. But that offense is crazy. Nikola Jokic, I know that's your guy. He's unbelievable. He's incredible. Anytime you watch him play, I mean, it looks so easy for him. So in terms of guarding him, what should the Heat's game plan be? Because obviously you have Bam, who's more or less an undersized big when going against your traditional big, strong 7-footer like Nikola Jokic, who's ridiculously skilled. How do they approach guarding him, and what do you try to take away? Is it the scoring or the playmaking?
Man, he could just kill you in any other way. A couple of nights ago in his first game against Sacramento, he was looking to be more of the playmaker in that role. But on Christmas, I think he had a 40-piece. You really never know how he's going to show up. But he's just one of the smartest players in the league. But from the mid-post area, and he leads the league in touches from there, players are always looking to curl around him on the perimeter, relocating for better three-point shots or cutting through the middle or on the baseline for a dunk at the rim. But he's also very good at eating up coverages from the mid-range. But where he does, I think his best damage is from the post. He has so much finesse and strength to abuse defenders and get to the line. But really, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure how to defend him because some nights he can just be the point guard and someone like Jamal Murray can get cooking, or Bruce Brown or Michael Porter Jr., who's come back recently and in his 4 games since returning from the heel injury is dropping 18.5 points. This is a very deep squad. So if you take away something, he'll hurt you in another way. And still sticking with Jokic, you mentioned how good he's been this year. I want to just say that I think it's so cool that he's balling out for a city like Denver. He's the back-to-back league MVP. He has a very good chance of winning it again this year. But the Denver Nuggets are one of the 4 ABA teams that merge into the NBA with in the year 1976-1977 during that season. The other 3 teams are the San Antonio Spurs, the Indiana Pacers, and then they were the New York Nets. But the Nuggets are the only one of those teams that has not made an NBA Finals. They very well could this year. I'm not sure if they could win it all this year based off how they are on the defensive end, but they are as good as it gets on offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Mateo Muse coming in clutch right there for sure. So appreciate that tidbit. And yeah, man, like this, I don't know what you do with Jokic. I really don't. It's tough. Jose Matos kind of getting on one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit later. One of the things that Jokic, one of his weaknesses, plural, there's very few though, very, very few, is I think on the defensive end, especially keeping up with more so your modern big, where they can really, when they get you in an action and you're on your heels, maybe 10 to 15 feet from the basket, things get a little bit tougher for Jokic. It's kind of hard for him to protect the rim at times. That's why I think Jeremy Grant was like a seamless fit when he was there, because he kind of provided some of that weak side rim protection. Aaron Gordon do that a little bit, but not that much. Same with Michael Porter Jr., not guys that you want to rely on in that aspect. But before we get into predictions, I do want to talk about one of the sponsors of the 5 Reasons Sports Network pregame show, and that is Prize Picks. Now, we don't have the lines up for you tonight, but do know that if you do want to use Prize Picks, they will match your deposit up to $100 as long as you use the promo code 5. That's FIVE 5, like 5 Reasons Sports Network, 5 on the floor. And if you use that promo code, put in $100, they'll match up to $100. You'll have $200 to spend, and you have a really good chance to make some money, especially on these Miami Heat Denver Nuggets lines, where you probably want to go ahead and take one of Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo, because Denver, like Mateo has said, is not the greatest defensively, and they have a chance to rack up some numbers. So if you are planning on playing Prize Picks, go ahead and use that promo code FIVE and have a great chance of winning some money. So there we go. Mateo,
yes.
I don't think the Heat have won many games in Denver recently. Off the top of my head, I couldn't really tell you the last time that they won there. Maybe Mateo Muse knows, but I'm not going to hold you to it.
I'm sorry. I'm dry on this stat, man.
It's tough. I honestly, I can't remember the last time that they went to Denver while Jokic was there and healthy and playing and won, because his style of play, I think, is what really just beats down what the Heat want to do, because they like to switch and they don't really have the capabilities of playing that drop and forcing all the other pull-up shooters to kind of get you going. And then how do you guard from the mid post? I don't think anybody in the NBA has really taken that down when you have such an elite offensive hub. So I want to get your prediction for tonight on this game. Heat, Nuggets, we talked about all the other things, the extrinsic stuff that might be going on, but on the basketball court, who wins this game?
Well, real quick, off the top of my head, the last win I can remember in Denver, I think Ray Allen's 3rd game of the season with the Miami Heat. I think he hit a clutch shot late in that game to help us win. But am I still there?
We do have this stat here, August 1st, 2020. Okay. But I will have you guys know that the Denver Nuggets were the home team for that in the bubble. So that was not in Denver. So,
but I think, Gad, the Heat, if they do not play well on the offensive end, they do not have a shot. Like I mentioned recently, the drop coverage opportunities are going to be there for Tyler, Max, and Kyle. But Bam has a real opportunity to, when he isolates Nikola Jokic in the elbow area, to blow by him and really make him sweat on that end of the court. But Jimmy Butler is going to need to be very stout on the defensive end, as an off-ball defender, because they got guys. It's right now guys like Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown. They missed the last couple games, are questionable. But if they're playing, they are guys who can score 10 to 15 points without a play run for them. So I would probably lean more with the Denver Nuggets in this one. Again, I think the altitude does affect players when they're only here once a year, and you're a mile high above ground. So it affects people differently. So I think that could affect conditioning, but I think I'm going to go with a Nuggets victory tonight.
I am going to agree with you. I'm going with the Nuggets. I like that you kind of pointed out that Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown, I don't know how you defend them. They're one of those, there's both of them are those types of players that get those random buckets where they're just pure energy will get them 10 points. And then you add in the fact that they are, in my opinion, pretty skilled players in certain aspects of the game. Maybe not as like pure shooters, but the other things that I think are very important to the game that people kind of quantify less, I think Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown are good at. And those types of Swiss Army knife type players are really good next to someone like Nikola Jokic. So I'm also going to go with Denver. I think not having Victor Oladipo and Caleb Martin is going to hurt their point of attack defense in a big way. Not that it's super important against Denver, because they do operate out of that mid post sometimes, but I think their lack of wing defense is really, really going to come in difficult. And there, thank you, Manny, very much, super producer Manny. We got the blessing of having him produce a show today, November 30th, 2016. That's a long time. That was my 16th, 17th birthday. I don't really know exactly which one it was. I'm not that old anymore. I'm not that young anymore. Sorry. So I think I'm going with Denver tonight. I would love to see a Heat win. I would love to see a Jimmy masterclass. I think it's going to need to be one of those games where Jimmy, Tyler, and Bam are all going to need to be firing on all cylinders, and you're going to need some bench scoring to kind of keep up. But I just don't think the Heat are going to have the horses in this one, if I'm being honest with you. I think missing Caleb Martin and Victor Oladipo is huge in a matchup like this. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. And Mateo, any last words for the people?
You know, someone like Jimmy gives the Heat a chance, because I remember I was there for all three of their losses, but at home. And the most recent one was, I think, on December 6th against the Dallas Mavericks. What they did against the pick and roll was they blitzed Luka up top, but he was still able to find the man open in the middle, which was Maxi Kleber, and he was dishing to the corner to Tim Hardaway Jr. They don't defend they don't even double well. So someone like Jimmy, who's at 6'7", strong, fast, and big, who can also be a playmaker and a scorer, should give them trouble. But again, this is a team that's only lost 3 times in their building. Those were against the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, and the Dallas Mavericks. So that's how I close.
What a random grouping of teams to lose to at home. The Knicks being in there and the Pistons just.
And it was the Knicks before the 8-game win streak. They were really bad in November.
Interesting. I wonder. I wish I didn't watch that game, but I would love to go back and kind of see, like, stylistically how they did that. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we get a really good game for the Miami Heat before they go to Utah tomorrow. Kind of sucks they're going to be spending their New Year's in Utah, but that is not my problem. I will be spending it here in South Florida. Mateo will most likely be out there. Are you going to the game tonight, Mateo?
Absolutely, yes.
Die hard. I absolutely love it.
I was at the Christmas game, and I was on the side of the hoop where Aaron Gordon got his massive poster over Landry Shamet possibly ended his career. I couldn't hear anything for like a few minutes, man. It was just ringing.
It's a good crowd. So, I've heard it's a very
great crowd.
So good luck to you. Hopefully you're going to be wearing a Bam or a Jimmy jersey or whoever it may be. I'm not sure. Bam jersey. Yes. Man of culture, of course. Shout out all the people in the comments for showing up and watching an hour and a half before the game. And good luck to the Miami Heat. Good luck to everyone. Hope you have a happy holidays. And I think we might be back tomorrow.
Yes, we will be.
There's another game. Shout out Manny for producing. And unless we have some pregame pressers, that's going to be it. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.